Good day, friends. Today, I'm going to talk about, per request, a spirit guides, and I'm going to just kind of tie this in with potential dangers of the occult, because I still believe this is something that you need to be careful with and be respectful and mindful on this path. So, what does that mean? That means that as far as spirit guides go, for me personally, I work with Hecate, a frog goddess, and from ancient Egypt, represented by to represent the life and death, two different worlds. So in ancient Egypt, women would wear frog headdresses to help other women give birth so that they could bring the new child into this physical realm. And that connection happened with me when I was out in the desert alone, doing my own sort of spiritual searching, cleansing kind of a thing. And I also would say that President Marbus is, although I work with a lot of different demons, President Marbus is my patron. Probably the closest demon that I personally work with. There's a few that are more of a relationship, and then other spirits are just like friends that I can go back and talk to sometimes. So they're not always in my personal aura or space, but the connection is there, the acknowledgement is there. And I also, with my biological grandfather, because it took me a while to understand what some of the significance of things in my life were, now that I have this understanding of who he was, and because he was a spiritualist and basically a hereditary witch as well. I think that he is there to help me and is with me all the time, even especially because of the blood relation. So that's this really strong connection. And you get so that's just kind of like, I guess, of my thoughts on, here's these layers of, everybody has a few. We can't all have like 500 spirit guides that are like, for me it's like, here's these few that really stand out. And to find them, I would almost say, hey, what attracts you? Like, if you read, let's say you're nerdy and you like comic books, let's say you read about one of your ancestors from 200 years ago. What do you find yourself fantasizing or imagining would be your protector? You can kind of go at it that way, and then search that kind of thing out by doing meditations and prayers. And I know, well, for me, it took me a long time to kind of stop scoffing at prayer altogether, but this is just meditating on a certain idea, and it can be really powerful. So it's something that just shouldn't be poo-pooed and whatever. It really can help carry your ideas, your desires, your will, essentially projecting your will. That's what a prayer is, projecting your intentions. So and so that's really it. There's not a you can do whatever, all these different things. If you want to go the whole hippie way, if you know what I'm talking about, the chemical way to find your spirit guides, that's fine. Kind of keep that in mind as you look on your journey. You might not find this right away, but you will if you keep looking. You can just kind of do prayers. You could keep a dream journal, and you know, it's all these different ways, and you'll find that. Now that's really important, or the idea of it is important to have before embarking on the left-hand path. So what are the real, dangers? Well, of course, when I do a ritual, when I open and close, opening is like if I'm going to go investigate a place. I'm going to open my consciousness up to these experiences. And then at the end of it, I'm going to close and do grounding types of things. So it's, when I open, I'm asking my spirit guides. And sometimes I'll even ask just other spirit acquaintances, if you will, to come and be with me, before I open. So they're there with me, in my imagination, in my mind, however you want to call it, to protect me when I astral project and, temporarily my consciousness leaves my body so that other things aren't going to come in and take over my consciousness. Now that's a whole for me, that's a whole thing too, is like there still is a level of possession that I experience because to really feel a deceased person's emotions, and also like that part where I sometimes feel the way they died, there's no difference between me and them for that moment. So I am being possessed, if you want to call it. That's just not like you think the exorcism, but it is, my consciousness is now open to this kind of a thing. So these spirit guides help them transition, and if they need to, they do these types of things for me, like they can talk to the deceased. And I do recommend working with necromancy demons. And we'll go into some more of that stuff because everybody really likes that. And also it's just something I think that, you should use. They protect the living and the dead. That's the idea with necromancy demons, because, well, for me, I want to protect the dead, and if they want to move on, if they want to dissolve their ego and become energy again, then that's what I want to have happen. I don't, other than that, I don't really jump on intervening unless I feel like there's some kind of severe need or problem for that. But, if you were to take in spirit guides, or understand, or, you have that imagination, I guess, to bring that forth, and you don't close after a ritual, after trauma, after prayers that are really deep, then it leaves the potential for you to be open, because ritual and investigations, they drain you because it's such a high energy experience. And when you're drained, your guard is down. And when your guard is down, that's when things can happen. So you don't have to believe. A lot of people, they tell me, hey, I really wish I had a ghost experience. I needed to believe in God or something. I needed to believe in the supernatural. That's kind of a weird way to go about it, but I think that I can understand that, because, if you, I think in some way we all want to have that kind of primal experience, but protection, spiritual protection is a must first. If you go to a cemetery, and like maybe you're an empath of some level, but you're not really aware of it because you're attracted to this kind of stuff for some reason. And somebody, let's say they're mentally unstable, and they don't know that they're dead, and they end up, meshing with your energy, and you bring them home. You don't have any kind of spiritual fortification, and now it's like your house is haunted. You're gonna and people would think that that's great, but it's really not. Obviously, it's draining your energy. If this is not a consensual or understood relationship. I mean, when I talk to dead people, this is something that I'm aware that I'm doing. But if you're not aware of that, it's really not good for you. It's not good for them so much either, because they obviously need to eventually come to terms with themselves, but they're going to drain your energy. Ghosts, they drain batteries. They mess with electricity. They turn water faucets on because water really emits high EMF. So there's just trying to constantly get energy, because ghosts they're learning to manipulate their environment now that they no longer have a physical body. And the best source of energy is a human, a living person. They have to do that. They have to take some energy from you. It doesn't matter whether they're good or bad. This is just this life force energy. Everything is attracted to it. Death is attracted to life, and life is attracted to death. So you've really got that going on. But yeah, are you prepared? I mean, when you go into this, ask yourself, am I prepared if I have a paranormal experience? And then ask yourself, what would you do? And then, I would like to recommend that when you ask yourself that, have some actual answers. Like, I would do this. These are the steps I would take. Here's the protection measures that I use. Am I being respectful? And these kinds of things, because it's really kind of separate from the whole satanic and whatever Christian ideology and stuff. This is just spirit to spirit or spirit to human interaction, and yes, it can be the situation where a spirit thinks that you're somebody else who wronged them, and now it's going to attack you, and it's not so easy to get rid of. I mean, even for me, I don't always have the answers or have an exact understanding. And some of these spirits I would definitely say I've met many more powerful than myself, which is something I respect. So just study the right-hand path. Even though I am an occultist and a Luciferian, I still think that that's where, when you get into this, you need to start, because maybe you don't really believe, maybe you're more of an atheist and these kinds of things, agnostic, but if it is real and that's what is going to transpire for you, you'll definitely want to know and have ways to deal with it, and maybe even have some friends who are spiritual you would be able to reach out to for help. When it gets real, it gets scary, and if people aren't ready for that, it can honestly just traumatize them. And the best answer is, obviously most people, they really haven't brought that protection in there with them, spiritual protection. And that's, okay, the right-hand path is unionization of all the spiritual forces, collecting, grounding, healing, and the left-hand path is solidification of the ego. So, you really have to understand healing to understand how to individuate, how to become your own subjective best self anyway. So I hope some of that, just whatever helps somebody out there. I'll see you guys next time.